Hi guys, welcome to Nirmal's Codetech, and today we are going to see the problem in Geek for Geek is number of rectangles in a circle. First of all, they have given a circular sheet of radius r and find the total number of rectangles with integral length and width that can be cut from the sheet and that can fit on the circle one at a time. So what does it mean is that they have given a circle and we need to find the total number of rectangles which can fit into the circle. So what can be the total number of rectangles? So we don't know the length and breadth of the rectangle, but to find out the length and breadth of the rectangle, we need to know the radius of the circle. So for that case, they have said that the input will be r equal to 1. So this r denotes the radius of the circle. Using this radius r, we are going to find out the length and breadth dimension of the rectangle. So how we can able to find out it down? We can move on to this problem. So first of all, I have drawn a circle. You can see this in the orange color. So in this circle, the OE will be there. So let's wait upon it. Okay, let me move on to draw. Okay. So in this rectangle ABCD, so this rectangle ABCD is present inside the circle and the circle radius is O and E. There is no doubt in that. So we know the radius of the circle is OE, which is represented as R, and inside the circle we have a rectangle A, B, C and D. Okay. So for this case, we know the length of the rectangle is in AD and breadth of the rectangle is in AB. But we don't know what will be the length of this diagonal of the rectangle D and B. So we can, when you see this rectangle, you can identify that surely the DB length is equal to the diameter of the circle. It can be either equal or it can be less than the diameter of the circle, but it can't be equal to the radius of the circle. So reason here is when you see this dB length, surely it will be greater than the radius of the circle, but it can't be greater than or equal to diameter of the circle. Okay, so let me move on how we can able to find out this length and breadth dimension of the rectangle. So for this case, first of all, we are need to find out the number of rectangles and breadth that can be fit in the circle. So that is what the condition that they have given in our problem. But what can be the length and breadth dimension of the rectangle which is present in the circle? So for this case, we are going to use Pythagoras theorem. So we know AB, AD, which is given as L and B. But for identify the length of DB, how we can able to identify? By using Pythagoras theorem. So you know it forms an right angle triangle A, B and D. So in Pythagoras theorem, we know AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square, and most importantly, the sum of square of the hypotenuse is the square of the hypotenuse is greater than the sum of the sides of AB and BC. So we have read in our Pythagoras theorem. So the same concept I'm going to use here. So here dB. So dB is the hypotenuse. So let me write it as dB. dB square is equal to AB square plus AD square. Okay, AB square plus BD square. Okay, so I try to change this color into white. Okay, so after this, what is AB? AB is B square. So first of all, let me write here. So AB is B, okay, B square. So very small b. So B square and BD is L square. Okay, there is no problem with that. Then let me keep this dB as let me keep this dB as hmm, let me keep it as R. No, we don't. We can keep it as capital D. Okay. Okay. Capital D. Capital Okay, capital D square. Okay. Now, so what does this capital D denotes is that, so this D is equal to the diagonal of the rectangle. Okay, there is no problem with that. This diagonal of the rectangle is less than or equal to diameter of the circle. Okay, the reason here is diameter of the circle is, we know diameter of the circle is 2r, and the diagonal of the rectangle we don't know, but surely it will be less than or equal to diameter of the circle. The reason here is, if you see, the diameter of the circle is 2r, but when you see the diagonal of the rectangle, to fit into that circle, surely it should be less than or equal to the diameter of the circle. Okay, so you can't be greater than the diameter of the circle. So for that case, I'm going to, just like that, I'm initializing it as diagonal of the rectangle is less than or equal to diameter of the circle. There is no problem in that. So now what I'm going to do here is, let this d square be, so when you, I said the diagonal of the rectangle is less than or equal to. What does the term equal to? It can be equal also. So for the case, the diameter of the circle, I'm going to substitute that value in d square. So here, diameter of the circle is 2r. Okay. When I square on this, when I'm going to square on this, okay. After squaring, the b square is what? Let me keep like as such as. So I have to copy this, b square plus l square. I have copied here. So now after this, what I'm going to do here is 2r the whole square is 4 capital R square. Okay. So this is something 4 and this is r square. Okay. Don't get confused. After this, you will get it as b square. So I'll copy here, b square plus l square. So now you watch this equation is something like the square of the length and square of the breadth is less than, this should be greater than or equal to. So reason here is 4r square is always greater than or equal to b square plus l square. If you see here, this is the hypotenuse of the triangle, and this is their sum of their sides. Okay, when you add the sum of the sides, either it can be equal to or it can be greater than or equal to. Now let me substitute the value of r as 1. Okay, for the input r equal to 1. So now we got this equation. There is no problem in that. Now let me substitute the value r equal to 1 and see what are the dimensions that we can able to get. Okay, so initially I'm going to take r equal to 1. There is no problem in that. And just like that, I'm going to take one value. The length is equal to 1 and breadth is equal to 1. Now this is just for an example. Okay, so when length is equal to 1 and breadth is equal to 1, what kind of value I'm going to get? Whether my condition satisfy this or not, I need to check upon it. For that case, I'm going to substitute the value of r here. Okay, when you do 4r square, 4 1 the whole square is equal to greater than or equal to l square plus b square. So l is what? 1. 1 square is what? 1. B is what? 1. B square is what? 1. So when I do this, I'm going to get 4 1 square. What I'm going to get is 4. 4 is greater than, where is greater than or equal to? Whether this is greater than or equal to 2. Whether this is true? Yes, it is true. In that case, I would try to count the value 0 to 1. Okay, there is no problem in that. So after this, I'm going to move on to the next iteration. When I move to the next iteration, I'm going to convert the value of L equal to 2, and I'm going to convert the value of, so let me keep like this. So length can be 1 and let me keep the breadth can be 2. There is no problem with that. Either you can iterate this or this, there is no problem in that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to keep the length as 1. Just I'm going to increment the value of b to 2. Okay, now my radius is not going to change. It's going to be the same. 4 1 square is greater than or equal to. What is 1 square? L square plus B square. We are going to substitute here. What is 1 square? 1. 2 square? 4. When I do this, what I'm going to get here is 4 is greater than or equal to 5. So in this condition, you can't able to increment the count by 1. So in that case, my loop or my iteration part will get terminated. It will not get counted anything else. So in this case, directly we can say that when radius equal to 1, only one rectangle of dimension 1 into 1 can be formed. Okay. So this is what the particular problem is getting approached, and let me solve only by using this equation. So this equation is going to be utilized in my program, and let me see how it's working on. Okay, let me move on to the coding part. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to initially keep my length as 1. The reason here is you can't take length is equal to 0. When length is equal to 0, you can't able to form any breadth or anything else. So initially the value should be from 1. Okay. L is equal to 1. And my L should be less than or equal to 2R. 2 star R and L plus plus. Okay. So what is the reason of 2r? 2 times of radius. So I said that the diagonal of the rectangle, where is the diagonal of the rectangle is less than or equal to diameter of the circle. So in that case, you need to take the diagonal of the rectangle as 2r. Okay. So that's what the reason I take here as 2r. So now what I'm going to do here is for int breadth. So let me take breadth equal to 1. So I'm going to check for this condition L equal to 1 and B equal to 1. In this case, I'm going to iterate for B is less than or equal to 2R, the same diagonal of the rectangle. And after this, I'm going to increment the value of B plus plus. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is if L square plus B square, B into B. When L square plus B square is less than or equal to what? 4R square. 4 R square R into R. When my this condition is true, in that case I'm going to increment the count value by 1. So for that I'm going to initialize the value of C equal to 0. That's it. I'm not going to do anything. This if this condition satisfies true, then value of C will get incremented. The same approach I have applied here. Okay. When 4R square is greater than or equal to 1 plus 1. Here I have initialized in this part. Here the right hand side is 4R square. Okay. So in this case, I'll just increment the value of C by 1. So after this, I'm going to return it as C. So that's it. Okay. Integer should be returned. Okay. C is integer. Okay. No problem. So let me compile and see whether the program is running right or wrong. Yes, for 2, then the expected output is 8. Let me check for 1. Okay, 1. Let me submit and see whether the program is running right or wrong. Yes, it is running right. So no problem in that. And most importantly, you need to see the expected time complexity is big of R square. It means that you can able to iterate it for n times. You can able to iterate it for R times. R square. Okay. There is no problem in that. And an auxiliary space is big of n. We did not use any space in our things. So here int c equal to 0. It's a constant. So there is no problem in that. Okay. So this is what this particular program is running on, and let me see in our next video. Bye.